Hey everybody, what's up? This video I sat a guy in a $200 Deepstack game. This has just been added to full tilt, so I thought I'd make a video looking at this format, though I haven't really got that much experience in it. And this guy I think's got an average buy-in of about $140 or $150, somewhere around there, and an 8% ROI. He's a really solid, decent winning sort of higher mid-level reg, so should be an interesting match, I hope. And first hand I'm going to limp as usual, and here he donks. I generally don't believe people who donk too much. I'm going to raise him, see what happens, and what happens is he calls. So now I'm going to bet the turn here and try and follow up with my initial raise. And on the river I hit a magic card, the 6 there giving me 2 pair. He's called 2 barrels there. I'm going to bet full pot here, and he can't fold his top pair. Oops. So there I was thinking that he wasn't that strong when he initially bet, and then on the turn when he called that I figured, well, he probably wasn't that weak, so at least I took advantage of it on the river, and it's a bit lucky there, so sorry about that one, mate. Alright, and then he raises the next hand, and I decide to call. Pretty loose call, but it's a deep stack, and I'm not really sure at this stage of the match how I should be sort of playing, whether I should be calling a lot wider or not. So initially I decided to call fairly wide, and then I changed my mind. So limped there and hit top pair, which I bet, and now he's called me. I mean, I'm going to get called there by guys with kings and queens, and obviously diamonds and that sort of thing. So on the turn I'm going to make a big pot size bet. If he's got a queen, I want to make him pay full price to try and hit his draw, and if he's got a king, I just want him to fold it up. So there we go. Well, I mean, you might say, why would I want him to fold it up if he's got a king? He doesn't have many outs. I mean, that's true, but I want to make him pay to try and hit his gut shot. Alright, he limps, and here I've hit top pair, or sorry, 2 pair, and I've been pretty active. I'm going to bet this, and he folds, and now I wish I'd checked it. It's kind of always the way that whenever I donk out, and they fold, I wish I had it checked. Anyway. Alright, limping my 5-8, and hitting a pair here, and he doesn't look very strong here. He's donked and then checked, so I might be able to, he might be on a draw, or he might have an 8, that's also possible, and I could make a better 8 fold, but no, I can't because he's cold. And now he bets 100 on the river. This is really weird. What's weird about it is the bet sizing. If he was bluffing a missed flush draw, I would expect him to bet a little bit bigger than this. This looks to me like a value bet, and for once in my life, I'm going to do what I think is a smart thing and fold. If you had a bet like 180, I might have even considered calling it, believe it or not, but 100 I'm folding. Alright, so 10-5, and I check, getting tight in my old age. And here I raise on 6-2. For me, raising against these sort of players is a frequency issue, not a quality issue. So I'm just going to raise now and again and see what happens. And what happened there was he folded, that worked. Then he folds my ace-jack as well. And I'm limping queen-jack. And here he donks again. And I've got top pair. And the first time he donked, he had quite a good hand, top pair. And the second time, he didn't let go of it. Just going to flat it. And now he checks the turn, and I'm going to bet once again, repeat the pattern from before, but I don't think I'm going to fold if he calls and bets the river this time. And alright, so he donked there full pot as a bluff, it appears. And he raises, and I shove my ace-king, which is a pretty bad overshove, probably. I mean, he's like nearly 50 big blinds deep. I think that's a little bit deep to shove ace-king, but never mind. I think it's a habit from my, when I'm playing the short or the normal stack size, that I shove ace-king pretty liberally, especially suited. And I might be a little deep to do that here, but I haven't done the maths on it, so I'm not sure. Alright, limping queen 3, and he 4x's me. It looks a bit like a spite raise. And raises me again, and as I said before, I was thinking about calling pretty liberally, and now I've decided not to, so I'm sort of tightening up. And he bets here, let him have that. Certainly donking a lot, kind of feels like I'm playing against myself, because I donk a lot as well, and it's a pretty weird experience. Alright, I try another raise, and he shoves, so Not obviously not going to call on queen 4 suited. And here I donk, and he min raises me. And honestly, I don't really believe him. As I said, this is the sort of thing that I might do. So, seeing I would do it as a bluff, I expect him to do it as a bluff. So I'm going to call and check behind, and he checks the. Oh, sorry, check in front. Now he checks the turn. I'm going to bet the river, no matter what it is, pretty much. And here I go. And yep, he was full of it. So it's kind of playing a you know, slightly different but very similar version of myself. It's very weird. He sort of does everything that that I feel that I would do in his spot. Anyway, limping ace queen, and he bets, and I'm going to raise, and his donk is obviously pretty mixed range, sometimes top pair and sometimes rubbish. Here I decide to call my 8-7. Why am I calling it, seeing I said I wasn't going to call too wide? Well, we are pretty deep, and 8-7 at least won't be dominated in the same way that something like queen 8 would be, or queen 7 or king 8 or something. So I'm happy to call it, and he checks behind, and then he checks the river. That's pretty weird, and I think I've got what, the fourth best flush here, so I'm going to bet for value and fold if I get raised. And I'm not sure what he had there, perhaps random cards or perhaps a low pair. Right, ace 2 I'm limping, and really wet flop. I'm going to check behind and just play a small pot, or in fact no pot now. Alright, and he folds to me, limping and getting attacked. That's all good, and horrible flop for me. Let him have it, kind of quietening down a little bit there. And now I decide to raise pre-flop, and he calls. Got bottom pair, can't let that go, so I'm going to bet, or I can't sort of act weak here. It's pretty dry flop in the sense that the queen's the only thing likely to hit his calling range. And he folds the 90 bet, that's good. And raising again, so not really sure how I'm going to get an edge on this guy. Not really sure what the plan is at this stage. Raising and c-betting seems to be working okay, but I have a feeling if I do that too much, it's going to bite me in the ass too. So, alright, 2 pair, that's nice, and stab and get called, good-o. And if it was a fairly blank turn, I would often check it and entice him to give me some action. But because that sort of heart puts a lot more draws out there, I'm going to actually bet. And he folds my second barrel. Alright, raising jack 6, getting a fold, that's nice. And I'm going to call this on my suited connectors and hit rather a nice flop. And I raise here and he folds. And if I looked back across sort of all of my matches, how well this immediate raise when I've hit a monster works, it only really works against the absolute huge bluffing lagtards, and against everyone else I think it's pretty negative EV, and therefore I think after this match I'm going to stop doing it so much. It just doesn't pay off in the long term. Alright, raise my ace 5 and get a fold, that's nice, and fold to his, and queen 10, limp, and we've hit middle pair. It's a high enough middle pair that I could trap a little bit, which I do, and now he bets pot on the turn. This is a bit weird. I'm going to call him. I'm going to be a little bit careful here. I think I'm good, and now 120 I'm probably not good. Don't know what he's got, and possibly should fold. And he was trapping me. Well, I thought I was trapping him. He definitely had the last laugh on that one. Alright, he raises, and going to let king 3 suited go there. I don't know if that was a bad fold or not. I raise and he folds, and once again the action's heating up a little bit here. I'm going to call here with my middle pair, and the ace is a terrible card, and when he's checked behind, the reason I bet 150 here is because I don't really want him bluffing like full pot or something, in case he's got some sort of missed hand. But all I end up doing is really kind of value counting myself, so that didn't work out too well either. Not sure if that was good play or bad play. It's good play when he folds, put it that way. Not so good when he calls and unbeaten. Alright. And raising ace 2, this is lovely. And now I'm going to check the turn here. He may have a 5, and he may not. I mean, he could be calling me on a 2 or a 4 as well on this flop. So I'm just going to control pot size by checking, and he checks behind. He's not going to bluff me off, and top pair is good there. But he makes just the same plays I would make, like flatting or floating in a sense, but sort of flatting that sort of opening bet with a draw, and then when he's checked 2, trying to push me off. So as I said, just feels like playing myself in many senses. Alright, c-bet this, I can represent the ace, and he folds, that's wonderful. And 8-9, I'll call that, we're deep enough, and I hit a monster flop, and he checks behind, dope. And here I just bet half pot, just hoping to entice at least a call in case he's got a king or an ace or something, and he folds, so that's obviously very disappointing. Alright, limping my 5-6, gut shot 2 overs to the 3, nothing happening. Alright, give it up. And he raises, not going to go very far with 10-4 offsuit. Limp my 9-7, stab, and pick it up, thank you very much. Stab here and pick that up, alright. Maybe I should be donking a little more, I'm not sure. And here we've got a gut shot, and that's a horrible turn, and I'll just give it up. I don't even compete when there's, when that sort of card comes. Alright, raise my kings, get a call, make a pretty decent c-bet, 120, and not sure what to put him on here, but if he's got a queen, I'm going to make him pay, and if he's got something like sort of a7 or something, he's also going to pay full pot. And if you want to stick it in, let's stick it in, and he doesn't. Alright, so that will probably have annoyed him. Alright, raising, get 3-bet, and king 10's not the best hand to call a 3-bet on, so I just fold. And ace king, nice fold, sir, limp my 5s, completely miss the flop, get check raised, and you can guess what I'm going to do with this one. Alright, min raise from him, which I call, hit bottom pair. I'm going to call that, don't improve on the turn, and this 120, I've got no real idea what he's got here. I just know what I've got, which is, 4th pair, so next hand. Alright, raising and getting a little bit more aggressive, and here he donks. And the donk here I really don't trust. It could be all sorts of draws. It could be like 10-7, 6-7, 10-jack. But against those hands, I'm not that huge a favourite. So I'd much rather, if he wants to control the pot size, which is what he's doing, okay, he can control the pot size. I'm just going to sit back here. And he's fired 3 barrels, and obviously I'll raise him when I hit 3 of a kind on the river. And he folds it up. So I think he was on some sort of draw there. And even though I figured I knew what he was doing, was trying to control the pot size, I was quite happy for him to control it. He might have been on a 4 too. Alright, and he min raises, which I call, and then I'm going to give this one up. Oh no, I'm not. I thought I was going to give it up. I should have given it up, apparently. I didn't. And I check raised him, and now I should fire the 2nd barrel, but I chicken out. And I'm just leaving those chips hanging there. I made a sort of weak attempt to check raise him on a fairly dry board, and when I said I'm going to give this up, I should have, apparently. Alright, raising and getting 3-bet, so lovely, and it feels like we've been playing this match for quite a while, and I got an early lead probably because I got lucky, and I haven't been able to do much with it. Alright, 6s, min raise works, and he folds the next one too, lovely. And here we've got a good middle pair, and I'm going to check it and then raise him on the turn here, just like I tried to do before on the Queen 10 hand when the flop was, I think, King 10x, and it paid off as he called me on a 10-2, so that worked. I must have a pretty bluffy image there for him to call that. And folding my Jack 3, probably should have called, it was pretty cheap, just a min raise. 4x is my limp, and he hasn't done that quite enough that I can sort of plan a strategy around it. And here we hit an open-ended straight draw, and miss, and miss. Lovely. What I would have done to have seen a 7 or a 2 there, and now we have to fold that. So that sucked big time. And raise the next one. 3-bet him, haven't done much of that, and get a fold. So it's kind of funny how when you lose a pot you get a little bit more aggressive, and that's what I've done. Sort of, want to get those chips back. Donking here, getting the fold, which is nice, and then folding my jack 2. And alright, min raises I'm going to call a lot. And now I'm going to bet the turn here. If he's been trapping me, we'll find out soon enough. And he hasn't, he just folds, so that's great. And not the sort of board I'm going to push him off very easily. Expect to get called by all sorts of hands here. So let him have it. And maybe I should have stabbed that, I don't know, I'm getting a little tight here. Not a very good flop. I check behind, and that's a lovely turn card. And yeah, I mean, it's a little bit weak of me to raise pre-flop and not c-bet, but on a board like this, which is a little bit connected, which he knows won't hit me, it's kind of like an open invitation for him to mess with me and start raising me and putting me under pressure. So I'm not going to give him that invitation. I'll just check behind and then bet on the turn if a scared card comes or if I hit. Alright, so it's the season to be min-raising pre-flop, and because this has worked in the past, I try stabbing the turn and I get raised for my troubles. I will just let that one slide away. And min-raise is getting a fold, that's lovely. So I'll keep it up. And he 3-bets me, that's not lovely. And been playing this match for a while with sort of not much progress. It feels like he's been down there around 2,500 or so forever. So now I'm going to min-raise pretty much a lot pre-flop, and now I try a 3-bet because I'm due, just a frequency issue, pick up the fold, that worked, and then I limp the next one. I'm not going to min-raise and have him 3-bet me back as a sort of spite thing. Stab, get raised, and he made this play before when he didn't have it, and I'll give him some credit this time. Alright, and checking this down, lovely turn, which obviously I'm going to call, and a horrible river, but I'm good, and he was just taking a little stab, so as I said, often feels like playing myself. And alright, here he checks, and he's always been weak when he's checked before, and now he flat calls me, and I bet and get raised. Oh, it feels like I've just been slow played by an ace. There's how many chips? 850, 1,000 chips in the pot, and it's costing me 300 to call, so I only have to be right one time in 3, and I think I probably will be sort of wrong 2 times out of 3 and maybe right 1 out of 3, so I call, and yep, he flopped a monster. Oops. And also I was thinking about sort of 3-betting and pre-flop with my 7s, and I'm glad I didn't. Alright, min raise, and he's actually right back in this match now, which sucks. All of that work has gone nowhere. And, it's kind of, it can be a little bit tough emotionally when you grind someone down for a lot of hands, and then a couple of hands they get back, but never mind. And, alright, here I can represent an ace or a jack, which I try and do successfully. And attack his limp with the 5s, just to mix things up. I'm always playing hands differently against decent opponents, and they seem to be doing the same thing against me, or at least this guy does. So stabbing with my bottom pair there, min raising, hoping that he was going to raise me, but he didn't. That's a pretty horrible flop. I'm just going to check it and see what happens, and what happens is I hit a good turn, so bet this for value. Get called, expecting to get called by an ace or a king or a 9, hopefully queen or a jack, and the river is not bad, giving me quads, and in this situation I can't get too greedy. This is a bet sizing issue. You don't want to be betting like 400 or 500 here. I'm betting 200 to hopefully get a curiosity call from a jack or a queen, and unfortunately I can't. Alright, min raise and call, and he checks what is a pretty wet board. That's do I, and then I hit on the river, which is nice, and don't get paid off, no problem. And he 3-bets me, so maybe it was bad timing to min raise him there after he lost the board. And just really keeping up the pre-flop aggression against him, and if in doubt, bet. Why I bet 60, I have no idea. I should have bet like 130 or something, but never mind. Sometimes in these videos I see things which I've done which just mystify me as to why I've done them, and that's one of them. Right, hit top pair here, pretty dry board, and now the sevens come. Just going to check it down, see if anything good can come. He's not going to bluff me, and alright, ace 10. Maybe I should have bet the river there, and I think he might have snapped me off with my ace, so damn, I missed some chips there. Oops, alright. Limping there after I've sort of done the crab blower on him, just so he doesn't 3-bet my raise. And stab, get check raised. He's a bit tricky post flop, this guy. And now I decide to 3-bet him. That works. And alright, middle pair. And he min raises me. Yuck. And then he checks. And I don't really know what's going on here. How can he min raise me and not follow up on the turn? The answer is God only knows why he didn't bet the turn there. But it worked out pretty well for him as he drags down a monster pot. Never mind. Alright, call and stab and get raised, and it just feels like nothing is working at the moment. So this is looking alright. Top pair, and I'm not going to fold that obviously. And every time I've bet the turn there, it sucked for me, and he was just doing it with a gut shot. So I should have bet the turn as it turns out, but never mind. Alright, and gonna give that one up. 10-6, and I'm just attacking him pre-flop because I was getting some folds, and this has just gone horrible. If I had to bet the flop, would have got the fold, but I didn't think 3 clubs with an ace and a queen was going to get folded too often, so, you know, fair enough. Alright, he's min raising me, I'm min raising him, and he donks, and I think I should have raised there, to be honest. And now I'm going to fold. I probably think I should have raised. I think he's weak there, but never mind. Might have got a fold out of him. Attack his limp, and that works. And min raise. So we're basically, he's got a slight lead at this stage. And to be honest, I'm not really sure how I'm going to get this guy. I mean, he's making plays at different times. He's tricky post-flop. He's got not too aggressive pre-flop, but you know, kind of just the right amount of aggression, and not really sure how I'm going to get him. And here, I mean, he's sort of raised me post-flop a lot of times, so there I put him to the test, and he's bluff raising my stabs a lot. I mean, he's a tricky guy when you're not really sure. You know, if you don't really have a plan because he doesn't have huge exploitable leaks, then you've just got to hang in there and hope something goes right, basically. The longer you go, the greater chance something good might happen. Alright, and I'm going to c-bet here. Oh no, I'm not. I thought I was going to c-bet there, and now on the turn I bet. Get called. And I'm good. So this, where he called me on the pair board on the turn, what it suggests is that I definitely should have been betting some other hands, like where I hit, and you know, there's a hand where I had a king 3 and he had ace 10. I wish I'd bet that now. I probably gave away like 200 chips by not betting that. Alright, min raise my kings, and he folds. Lovely timing, sir. And the reason I'm betting top pair here is because he's often raising me, and he doesn't follow up, and then folds. So once again, he's been check raising me on the flop. It's his favourite little trick when I'm donking a lot. And 3-betting me. So he's kind of not hugely donkey spewing, but he's certainly aggressive and putting me under the hammer. Alright, betting out here, and I get the fold, thank you. And now he seems to have popped into his shell for a second. And I'm going to call this. I think if he's got a king, you know, if he's got a 9, so I could hit a 10 or a jack or a queen. And that is not a nice card. And I try bluffing, and it doesn't work too well when he has 3 of a kind, so another wrong turn. Ugh. Just feels like not much is working some days. Alright, raise and get called, and c-bet, and get raised, and he's really taking it to me post flop. Starting to frustrate me a bit. Yeah, every time I bet him, he raises me, and it's kind of annoying. And here I've had a lot of outs, finally hit them, and get paid off by King 8. I guess he thought it was a split, and that's a pretty amazing call. I certainly think my image is, he thinks I'm full of it, that's for sure. And 3-bets me, and I would have 3-bet him, so I do. And here I get aggressive with ace 10, get the fold, that's good. And the aggression level's definitely picking up here. And he check raises me again, which is kind of driving me nuts, but never mind. And folds my ace queen, nice timing, sir. And then folds my 9-6, so he sort of redeems himself a bit. And here we got bottom pair, and he check raises me, and I call it. And he check raised me on the 5, which is pretty good hand reading, I guess, but still sucked. Alright. And take down that pot. And hit top pair here. And he raises me again. And I don't think I can fold. And he actually was behind, thank goodness. But it does kind of lead, to the hand where I lose a whole bunch of chips, which is coming up in a minute. Alright, that was nice. I see betting is still kind of working. And here I lose a whole bunch of chips, so he checks behind. I hit the 10, and I bet as always do, and he raises me just like last time. But this time he bets 900 in the river, and I know I should fold. Deep down I know I should fold, and I think, oh god, I have to fold, and then press the call button stupidly, as we all do, and lose a monster pot. So all of this hard work seems to be going down the drain. Alright, min raise, get called, that's rather a nice flop, and bet on the turn, calls, thank you, that's got to be a good river you would think, and he bets 300, I've got to shove here, and he folds, so we caught him being a little bit naughty there. And now I'm going to 3x him with ace 9. Don't like 3xing him with ace 9. It pretty much commits me to shoving a lot of flops. And thank God I've got a flop that I can shove. And he calls me inexplicably, really, on Queen Jack, which kind of shocks me a little bit. And I hold, thank goodness. And I just think if he had a folded that, man, I mean, I don't know what he thought I had, but that was a pretty terrible call. I don't think it was a nice 3-bet by me, and I'm ready to shove anything, either a limp or a raise here, but he folds. And 10-8. Just going to check behind, and I get some action from him and raise him a little bit too big. It was a bad raise. I should have flattered and hoped that a 2 or 6 or 4 came, whatever he needed, as long as it was non-hard, and I think I could have cleaned him up. And I got a bit greedy, and that didn't work out. And then he limps king queen, he's limping, there's 240 chips there, which is like 20% of his stack. I can shove this, except when he has ace, ace, oh crap. And queen on the flop, and then ace on the turn, not looking too good. So a nice limp from him, but that's like the first time I've shoved over his limp. Alright, here he raises, and I'm going to 3-bet my queens obviously, and he calls. Oh shoot, there's like 1400 chips sitting there, and there's no way I can back down now, so it's just going in, and I'm just squirming at the idea that I'm going to see an ace here, and luckily he folds, thank goodness for that. Alright, limp, and I'm ready to call if he shoves, or shove if he raises, which I do, and then I pick up ace king, which is nice, and he shoves. Great, ace 9, just got to avoid a 9. First card off is a 9. Turn is a heart, so one more heart or a king would do the trick, and a king on the river. So that was a really tough match, difficult to get an edge, and it really felt like I was playing against someone who had a very similar style to myself. And all I can say is, if you can't get much of an edge against someone, wait and be patient and be patient, and eventually your time will come. So, hope you've enjoyed this one. Until the next one, try and run good.